to take you back to Diepsloot now, where we find my co-anchor, Ayanda Nyathi, and you've been tracking developments there, Ayanda, particularly insofar as the person who has been killed overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning once again, Michelle. We've finally been able to track the home where this individual is from, and we found an absolute distraught partner who was inside the home, who's told us what she witnessed late last night. She was around at the time at which she had been approached by this gang of people. I'm just going to step out of shot because, of course, there's a whole lot of movement taking place here at the home. And, you know, part of the difficulty, of course, is that people are still trying to piece together who the individuals were, what it is that they wanted, and why it is that this particular man was a target. What the partner has been able to tell us is that she had returned from work, and at that time she heard skirmishes. She heard that her partner and his friend were being looked for by these individuals. Once they were found, there was an exchange. They demanded passports from them. There was also talks of, you know, getting some kind of gun, apparently, that she says they believe they have. And, of course, what she had tried to explain to them is that they don't have any of that at their disposal because, you know, that's certainly, they don't have that at their disposal because they don't even work in the kind of profession that would need something like a gun. Let me take you to the other side of this area, get you a sense of what the block, if you like, actually looks like in this informal settlement of Diepsloot. This is the kind of arrangement that exists within the homes themselves. And so it speaks to the kind of lack of human settlement within Diepsloot, something that police have also pointed towards in speaking about how difficult it is to clamp down on crime in a community like this. I mean, you can just imagine if any kind of criminal were to run into this particular area, how difficult it may be to actually try and find them. And, you know, it just so happens that the latest victim in this really troubled community was also, you know, I guess residing here in one way or the other. But, yeah, I mean, you can just imagine just how difficult it was for this woman to articulate even clearly what had actually taken place less than 24 hours ago, as she told us how she's now lost her partner.
Incredibly distressing story, that, Ayanda, especially because when we spoke to you just a few moments ago, you were at the site where that murder allegedly took place, with the coals still smoking in the street there.
Absolutely. It should come as no surprise that community members also have really now flocked to the streets. They are still quite aghast at what has taken place here overnight. In fact, some of them who've been able to speak to off-air believe that there's been absolutely no change since Police Minister Bheki was here yesterday. His undertakings, they feel, are nothing but lip service, especially because they just have to point at what took place hours after he left. And, you know, a woman like, you know, the I guess, widow now who we just spoke to, are just adding to a growing list of families in Diepsloot who are losing people by the day, and that's absolutely no exaggeration, at least if the last couple of weeks are anything to go by, losing people by the day because of just how deeply entrenched the challenges here in Diepsloot actually are. It was also quite difficult to kind of, I guess, take in, as this woman was speaking, just how hard day-to-day life must be. I mean, part of what we understand is that she was back from work the night before. She had barely slept when these things actually took place. And she, too, is trying to ascertain the grounds upon which something like this can take place in an area that is known to be problematic, in an area that's had the most senior officials within our police service actually visiting. And, you know, part of what hopefully she'll be able to do moving forward is get some kind of justice because of the media attention that this is receiving. I'm sure you might have seen some of our other media colleagues who are here, and, you know, hopefully the tears that have fallen down her face today don't fall for nothing. You know, those tears, you know, are not in vain. And so part of what we're also going to try and do moving forward is speak to some of those vocal residents who had been around for most of yesterday, because of course they live here, but who also had sight in some respects of what might have taken place. I'm going to walk to an area where we are told some of the belongings of this individual are still there. So bear with me as I have my back towards the camera. But there's, as you enter this block, for lack of a better term, a shoe and a jacket that is here. The community members who are brave enough to guide us to this place tell us that these belongings are actually of those victim, or these, this clothing are belongings of the victim who has lost their life overnight. And so really, once again, sobering to take in. It is a scene that I imagine is going to remain active for much of the morning. And part of our task, of course, is to continue to piece together what exactly took place here overnight.
Well, Ayanda, it's such a distressing story, and one that is confounding, as you say, because it happened, from what we can tell, just hours after the police minister himself was in Diepsloot. You spoke to the SAPS in Diepsloot this morning, who told you, yes, it's difficult to get around the different homes when they are called out to a scene, but maintaining that the SAPS does have enough manpower to deal with the issues in Diepsloot. That doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, well, if they do have the capacity, it's not being used properly, especially, again, given what we're digesting as of this morning. So what the police have said is that the lack of infrastructural development and, the human settlement, the neglect that's taken place insofar as that is concerned, makes it difficult for them to navigate to places like the one where we're standing now. And, people who visit this area, I guess, might be able to sympathize with that. However, the residents who live here will tell you that that's actually not where the problems stop. As far as they're concerned, there almost seems to be a kind of the police themselves don't even try to tackle these issues because they seem in some respects to be completely disillusioned by the extent of which the issues themselves exist within this area. But insofar as capacity is concerned, I'm talking about things like weaponry and, all the other equipment that they need. Brenda Murudili telling us that they have enough of that. The question, of course, becomes, well, is it being put to good use?
Certainly. Ayanda Nyathi, we're going to let you go for just a moment, but we will continue to touch base with you throughout the next couple of hours of the show. He's live to us there in Diepsloot. He's about to speak to the now widow of the person who was killed overnight in those ongoing clashes in Diepsloot.